terms of games taken. So Rising Storm is out, and we do have Hodor coming in for StarCraft 2 strategy. That is a Terran player. So we do see for Hodor, he is a High Master for 6 seasons. He's been trying to get into the Grand Master League, but hasn't quite gotten there. He is a college student, and he is studying computer sciences and math at Virginia Tech. And he enjoys reading and sleeping in the meantime. The last time we casted Hodor, we did see a lot of Hodoring going on in the chat. That has not been the case tonight, but we'll see if that is the case for the remainder of the evening. Let's hope not.
Yeah,
At any rate, no, but we appreciate StarCraft 2 strategy, and both the team captains, frankly. I noticed in the Observer chat before that they were encouraging their players to talk outside of the game chat to limit the amount of chat spam that we saw on these games, so that's really cool.
Yep, absolutely.
And so, yeah, if you'd like to do us a favor, please follow at Gallegation, at WingnutSC. If you are enjoying the games that you're seeing from these teams, you can follow StarCraft 2 strategy at SC2S Community on Twitter. You can find them at the same on Facebook, and their website is StarCraft2Strategy.com. And for Pulse,
Twitter's at Pulse Esports.
There it is. All right. So that's where
Pulse
you can
also
find
has
our
a
teams.
Facebook page as well. I believe it's /Pulse Esports.
All right.
And with that, I did send out into chat as well. We want to say a big thanks to Das Keyboard. We're going to be repeating this because they've been super fantastic. We've been in a lot of communication with them, and they like what's going on here, and we like that they're putting themselves out there to sponsor a new league, and this is a new league. This is only Season 1. But it's been amazingly successful so far, so it's been awesome. Do send them out that tweet we suggested there. Add your own little special message under the end to give them a big thanks for sponsoring all of us here with some great prizes for the winners and as well as some extra cool swag.
Absolutely. So we are moving into game number 3. It is a Terran versus Terran.
Yep, and in the upper left-hand corner, the blue Terran player from Pulse Esports taking the big win over Rising Storm last game. It's Abstinence.
And in the bottom right-handed corner, representing Team StarCraft 2 Strategy and Game of Thrones, it is Hodor.
Thanks, whoever.
Kiwi TP.
Yeah, thanks, you. We appreciate you spending some time with us this evening.
And all of our viewers, thank you for joining us. We have had some great matches thus far, and this is just the beginning of the night. We are only on Game 3, and the score is 1-1. This is a best-of-9 series, so one of these teams has to make it to 5, and we are only at 1-1, so at least 4 more games ahead of us.
Yeah, and we've had, both ways in these series. We've had lots of blowouts, and we've also had some extremely close matches with extremely long games. So we haven't seen yet how this series is going to turn out. So far, we've seen a lot of aggression, a lot of action. So if we continue to see that, it'll turn out to be an exciting series. But it looks like both players being fairly similar builds right now. Barracks coming down for Abstinence before Gas. Gas going down for Hodor before the Barracks. That is our only variation so far. So likely going to be a Reaper out of Hodor and a Marine out of Abstinence.
Day of Dreams in chat is asking if there's a bracket or a site with the info for the league. That is SC2CTL.com. However, I would encourage you not to check that out just yet, as that website does have some spoilers for tonight's matches as well as Thursday's matches.
Spoiler alert.
So do be aware that you are treading into dangerous waters when you check that out, but I do encourage you to check that out in your free time once the action has subsided, and check out all the infos and get all the info on when the rest of the playoffs are going to be played, when Season 2 is going to be starting, and hopefully we have announced that we are going to try and get a live event going for the semifinals and the finals, so information about that will be on SC2CTL.com.
No problem, you're welcome for the alert. We don't want anyone being upset at some spoilers. But so far it looks like we've got Marines out of both players, a Factory coming down for Hodor, and just Marines out of Abstinence so far. So we do have quite a bit of divergence so far in these builds, where we've seen on a lot of the TVTs we've seen fairly mirrored builds, and it just happens to matter which person controls it slightly better as who comes out on top. But this looks like it's going to be a more not interesting match, but a more divergent match, and I need to set myself as a way, apparently, because people are messaging me.
Oh my goodness. Well, it looks like Hodor is putting down a starport, so hopefully we're going to see some drops here. It's been a while since we've seen some drop play, and I do enjoy that drop play. Oh, but it looks like a tech lab is going down in that factory.
I'm smelling some Banshees, Galgation.
I'm smelling the same smells that you were smelling, and they are smelling delicious.
Yeah, Abstinence going for the expand, so if these Banshees get out and he gets it up quick enough and exploits Abstinence expanding quickly, it could be a bit of pain dished out on Abstinence. But we have seen some great control, great management and scouting from both Abstinence and all the other players so far, so we'll have to see. But I don't think there's been a lot of scouting go down for either player. No, actually there is not. Neither player knows what's going on.
They're hanging out at home playing in their own backyards.
Yep. So that Banshee is coming down. Cloak has started. So we'll see how this works. A mine comes out right away from the factory after the tech lab is built. So he's this is actually a really interesting play we've seen a lot of people do. So that mine will help keep them safe since they're going very low units in the beginning.
Abstinence now also getting his starport. So he will have some air units as well. And orbital command going down at that natural. So if he's able to hold off these Banshees, he is going to have the economic lead.
There's an SCV moving out for Abstinence. He's going to be coming in and seeing if there's an expansion. Oh, but this mine is going to walk right past SCV. Hello. So he definitely knows there's a factory at least.
Oh, and he does get that gate up in time. I was wondering if that was going to happen. The Marines do scout it and take it out.
He died so quickly, though. I wasn't sure if he saw the Banshee, but the Banshee is... No, Banshee is going the left side of the map, which is a good way because Abstinence does have a lot of Marines moving out, but that mine was taken out, so Abstinence, Hodor is going to have to do something at home to keep himself safe, putting down a bunker against these Marines coming in.
And that's, you know, he's definitely anticipating some drop play here. He's not expecting them to come up the ramp, especially by the directionality, and that is exactly what's going to be happening here. But that Banshee is going in, and there's nothing there.
He does have lots of energy on that orbital command, though, so he can scan at any time, but he needs to get some units up here first. There are some Marines. Cloak goes down, and there's not enough Marines really to deal with it yet, but he's going to be producing a Viking out of the starport. So as soon as that pops out, he'll be using that scan to take it out, no problem, I think.
And Hodor does see that there is an engineering bay in that main, so he is going to be aware that a turret's going to come down. He's going to poke just to see if it is there. And it is there. He's going to have to get out of there quickly. Oh, no!
Oh, wow. Didn't even need the Viking. But there is a big drop going on for Abstinence in Hodor's base as the Hellions have already been dropped. Marines now being dropped and moving in. These Hellions are going to be doing a ton of damage against this mostly Marine force here. But, oh, Abstinence not controlling it all that well. Actually, it did not do much damage at all.
No, he almost did take out that Raven, but he managed to get an auto turret down and then gets out of the way. So that is going to survive. He's going to have to get a repair on that if he wants to keep it, as it is only down to 5 hull.
Yeah, Raven's being used a lot in the TBT games we've seen so far, and it's really awesome to see because Ravens have such cool abilities like the auto turret and the Hunter Seeker missile. It's always it's always very tense when one of those Hunter Seeker missiles goes out.
It definitely is, you know. It's fun to watch the units scurry away in fear of the giant explosion that's chasing them down. But Abstinence is getting a huge defense here now. He's getting turrets in all of his bases. He's got a Viking on the play, so that's going to end the Banshee play. Unfortunately for him, there isn't another one coming out, but it is good to be defensed correctly.
There's another Banshee that's heading towards Abstinence's base.
Oh, is it?
On the left side of the map right now, but he's going to be very well defended against it. But at very least, Abstinence is going to get a scout off with it.
And, you know, Hodor's got to be really careful. He's already lost one of those Banshees, and you really don't want to lose those this early in the game. Those are crucial units to keep.
Yeah, but he's going to be moving in. There's a Viking on patrol here, and there's turrets all over the place. So he's not going to get any actual damage done, but maybe just get a look-see at what's up. But he does, Abstinence also been saving some scans, it looks like, because he's got enough energy on both command centers for a scan. But no, he drops mules instead.
Hodor nearly losing that Banshee there.
Yeah, very close, down to 24 health. But Hodor looks like he's got some juice running through his veins now as he's moving out with this quite a formidable force, actually. It's, what, 3 tanks? 2 tanks? A lot of Marines, a Raven, and 2 Vikings. So this is going to be a lot for Abstinence to deal with here.
It really is. He doesn't have a ton of units here, actually. He's only got 12 Marines, 2 Hellions, and a Viking. The rest is in his economy, so If he's not careful, this could do a lot of damage.
Well, I mean, even though the Banshees didn't get a lot of actual damage done, they did do a lot of pseudo-economic damage in the fact that Absence had to build all the defenses for it, which I'm sure cost way more than the 2 Banshees, especially since the cost was reduced for the cloak research as well. So it did slow him down, if nothing else.
Although Abstinence, I think, did feel a little bit safe, as he did make mostly economy and not a whole lot of units.
Big drop coming down for Abstinence, and Hodor's main surrounding this tank here, but SCV's repairing the tank, and that tank is going to take out all these Marines without even being sieged.
Wow. Great play there by Hodor, as he is moving in here now. And Marines are on the field. They are going to get that Raven. It does get 2 auto turrets down, so that is going to fortify his defense a little bit, but tank shots are taking it down. Marines are getting obliterated. Tanks, SCVs are being pulled to hit the tanks. 1 tank is going to fall, and now another. But look at all these SCVs that Abstinence has
SCVs
lost.
are the heroes of the day. Look at that.
I mean, he lost a ton of them, but he's just resupplying with mules, says no big deal, I killed your army.
Yeah, if we look at the units killed, it's only 13 workers killed by Abstinence and 6 by Hodor, so it's nothing too crazy, but 46 units killed for Abstinence. I'm sorry, Hodor. So, I mean, we're still fairly even, and that attack was not all that fruitful for Hodor.
No, it wasn't, but as you said, the game is still pretty even, so it's anybody's game yet. Abstinence has been putting down some really great defenses and making some good trades, it seems, but a few mismanaged drops have cost him some decent units, and now Hodor is taking his 3rd base.
That's definitely a nice play by him here, moving his army with his expansion. He knows that Abstinence, even though he did hold off that attack, he knows what he has, and that's not a lot. So he feels pretty safe to put this 3rd base down, especially moving his army down just to make sure there's no mines or anything there. But look at the map control he's got, though. I mean, if we look at one of his units and hit his vision, he's got vision all the way across the map.
And that vision is going to come in handy here, as there is a large push coming forward from Abstinence, a bunch of Marines, a few tanks, and a medevac. So Abstinence deciding that he's going to try and do the same shenaniganry that he was just victim of. Let's see if Hodor is able to put down the same defense that Abstinence was.
Yeah, Hodor needs to spread these tanks out as he's just doing that now. He also needs to get a repair, and this one is basically he's got 2.2 tanks here. But he is smart to put the... oh, now he's repairing it. But he is smart to put the damaged one in the back, though. But there's going to be a lot of tank shots coming off in these Marines if he gets up here within range of these tanks.
I like the way that Hodor is positioning this, though. He has 2 Vikings on the right-hand side where the drop would likely come, and Abstinence was poking in there to see if he could get up there. Seeing those Vikings, knows that he can't. Sees the positioning of those tanks, decides this is not a fight I want to take, and he's going to head on home.
Yeah, very smart of him to just pull back and hold on to his units, because if he was to go up in there, he would have lost a lot. One thing I do wish, as an observer, that there would be some indication of whose scan it is goes down on the map, because we just saw a player scan, but you know, it would have been reasonable for either player to scan in that spot. Hodor to get some vision on his tanks, and Abstinence to see if there were tanks up on the cliff. But yeah, we don't know exactly whose scan it is. But Abstinence's army is getting pretty big here now. He's got 130 supply, a lot of Marines, few tanks. He's going to be moving down here to the left side, knowing that that natural was well defended. But this 3rd base of Hodor is pretty wide open here.
And these both players making use of the sensor tower. That is only increasing their visions. They're going to be able to see when armies are moving in. And sure enough, Abstinence is going to be pinged on that map. So Hodor is going to be able to reposition in the right area, but you know, both players scanning out the positioning of their army, they know who's where.
I think the positioning here is a little bit better for Abstinence, because he's going to kill these rocks and be able to skirt outside the range of those tanks, forcing Hodor to move his tanks down the ramp a little bit here.
Absolutely. These Vikings are moving forward, going to try and kill those medevacs, and they are going to do just that. But the Marines stemming forward, getting all the kills, and oh my goodness, everything is dropping. These tanks are getting some decently good shots on these Marines, but the Marines are just moving forward and cleaning everything up.
Hodor did not have the bio army in front of his tanks that he needed, so these Marines were able to just jump right in there, and now he didn't lose a single one of his tanks, and Hodor's army has been decimated.
So these tanks are going to be able to move in and have free reign. Hodor realizing that, moving all his SCVs out of there. Hasn't decided to lift up that
Oh, nice drop
yet.
coming in from Hodor here. He's going to drop right on top of the tanks. Great play. Love to see this, but it looks like Abstinence is going to be smart, unsiege his tanks, only loses 1.
Wow.
But the Marines...
Oh, look at that tank pickup. Oh my goodness.
definitely a nice boost out of there. But great control by Hodor. I mean, that takes a lot of balls of steel to do that, to be honest. When you're under that kind of pressure to know exactly what's going on in the game and be able to say, okay, this is exactly what I need to do. I need to load these up into my motorbacks. I need to move them over here, drop them on top of these tanks, and then also have the wherewithal to move a bunch more Marines in to support it. Very fantastic defense by Hodor.
And this is, but Abstinence is playing the way that we've seen him play before and the way that I love to see him play, which is basically he's putting on huge aggression at the front of his enemy's base, and he's expanding behind it. He's got 4 bases now to the 3 of Hodor, and he's just continuing to put aggression on here. So we have another engagement here, 2 tanks to 1, both are sieged up, the Marines versus Marines, and again, Abstinence is taking that engagement, and no wonder he's got an upgrade advantage of 2-2 to the 1-1 of Hodor.
Great scans here to take out that missile turret, now opening, but huge tank shot there, sending Marine guts flying everywhere. So that drop that maybe he had envisioned isn't going to be able to happen, but Hodor moving out here with a force of his own, which is much bigger than Abstinence, until he regroups all of his 3 sets of units here, but both players deciding to not force the issue just yet.
Not just yet, but I have a feeling that Abstinence is getting ready for another push, as he knows he has the advantage lead, and he wants to make the most of those upgrades while he still has the upper hand.
And if we look at Hodor's situation, he's starting to get in a bad spot here because his main is nearly mined out. He's heavily oversaturated at his 3rd, while Abstinence is doing great with 3 bases here. His main is almost mined out as well, but he's got a 4th to transfer those SCVs to, where Hodor doesn't. But now, big engagement coming up.
That's right, Hodor stims forward, trying to get as much damage as he can. The tank is already sieged, but 3 tanks behind for Abstinence. They're going to do some big damage here. Abstinence is getting cleaned up.
I'm really surprised Abstinence didn't lift up those extra tanks there to get him out of there, but he just sent his away. He could have saved at least 2 of those tanks, I think.
And now Hodor has got a huge drop at the 4th base of Abstinence. He's forced to lift up, but that's not going to get out of there. And suddenly we see a huge momentum shift as Hodor takes out the 4th base of Abstinence and takes a 4th of his own.
And he's got 2 distinct sets of armies here now regathering towards the middle, and he's going to have a huge force here coming up against Abstinence moving in. And it's going to all depend on the siege up here.
And Hodor really taking advantage of the fact that he just evened the playing field with his upgrades. But Abstinence is doing so much damage, and all of that is going to fall. Hodor's Marines do try and run up, but they realize that the rest of their buddies have already died, and they're going to get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, the upgrade advantage is definitely in favor of Abstinence, as he has 3-3 going down for his bio, and, well, actually, so does Hodor now, but the 3-3 of Abstinence is ahead of that of Hodor.
That's right, his attack did just finish, so now he is back on the upgrade lead, which will likely put him back on the offensive.
Abstinence also has +1 attack for his mech, whereas +1 attack is now just finishing for Hodor. So both players still within reasonable pace of each other, but Abstinence is going to be making an issue again of the 3rd base here.
And Hodor wisely canceling it, hiding his SCVs in the back of that base. Abstinence just waiting for an army to come and engage, though.
If Abstinence was able to get in here and take out one of these bases of Hodor, that would be horrible. But, I mean, now Abstinence is in pretty good position. He's got an extra command center in the front here. It looks like he's going to eventually... I thought maybe he would turn that into a planetary fortress eventually, but he's going to move that out for a 4th.
He's going to try and retake that 4th, as is Hodor, but both players wisely leaving a single Marine there to try and deal with this. Hodor pulling his SCVs to be able to kill that. And a similar thing is going to be happening with Abstinence's base. And both players just moving forward to engage. This is just bonkers here.
Yeah, I can't tell which position is better. Hodor's going to be on the low ground right now.
Yeah, I think Abstinence has the big advantage here. He's able to siege up first, and oh my goodness, this is just a kill tunnel. There is nothing going to get through here for Hodor, and Hodor has to just boost out what he can, losing a lot of units there.
That was pretty horrible positioning, and the last place you want to be in a siege war is on the low ground. Forcing the 4th here of Hodor to be canceled, and Abstinence is just going to be moving right up this path here to the 3rd base, and this is the game right here. This 3rd base represents the game for Hodor.
Oh, but Abstinence is moving his army towards the 3rd. He's moving a 2nd army towards the natural, going to try and hit on 2 fronts. This is going to be so devastating.
Yeah, we've got a nice siege war here. Tanks parlaying each other, but now Abstinence, just like he said, moving a formidable force up here into the natural, and there's nothing here for Hodor as he's got most of his army there. He pulls back a bunch of Marines and a tank, but Abstinence is just going to get a ton of damage here done. Now, and with that, it's going to open up the third.
That's right, and I think this is going to be the last nail in the coffin. Hodor is able to hold off that push at his natural, but he is going to lose this third base, and as you said, that was the linchpin for this game for Hodor. He is not going to be able to mine much more. He is getting the repair off on that orbital command, so it might not just fall just yet. But he's going to lose a lot of
favor of Abstinence right now, so he's going to be able to resupply way better than Hodor. And Hodor is at 100 food, Abstinence is 154, so Abstinence is starting to take his position as very far ahead in this game.
And you know, I look at this, Hodor's lifting up, dropping right on those tanks, beautiful play, but a lot of this is going to get cleaned up, and Hodor knows it, frankly. He's just trying to kill whatever he can with what he can, stimming some Marines forward, trying to kill as many of these medevacs as he can, and that actually ends up being a decent loss for Abstinence. Those medevacs were very well supplied before, had a critical mass, but more Marines moving forward now, more stims, and more Marines dying. What can I say? Oh my goodness. And there's the GG.
Game paused.
Wow, TVT is, definitely gotten a lot more interesting lately. I really enjoy watching TVTs, whereas as Wings of Liberty, when I would see a TVT, I'd be like, oh man, this is going to be the most boring time of my life. But the aggression, the Abstinence, I mean, it was almost like a teeter-totter. The Abstinence would move out with 3 different sects of armies, attack 3 different locations, and then Hodor would clean it up and do the exact same thing back. But it just seems like Abstinence was able to get that aggression to be a little bit more, like I would say 75% towards Abstinence and 25% towards Hodor.
Well, I think that the shift of that game really was that Abstinence knew when he had that upgrade advantage, and frankly, Hodor knew when he evened it up as well, but Abstinence was really able to put a lot of pressure on when those upgrade advantages happened for him. So he knew that he had it, he moves in, he gets some aggression done, he does a lot of damage, and he pulls back. And then he attacks from another front, or he attacks multiple places at the same time. And once those upgrade advantages equal out, then you see Hodor swinging forward again, trying to do what damage he can. But the problem was that Abstinence was able to get more done when he had the upgrade advantage, slowly diminishing the economy of Hodor and eventually taking the game.
Yeah, it seems like both players had their 4th bases at least started for a while, but never really got them into full swing. Definitely not Hodor. But, Abstinence had his going a couple times, but never actually did a whole lot of mining from it.
Sure.